from previous folder. You can take some photos and keep in this folder under the JavaScript Ajax folder. Next, after that, create a file here. Create a file here, ajax.css. Ajax.css. Ajax.js and one more file, index.html. Three files. Ajax.js and ajax.html, three files. Okay, in ajax.html file, index.html file, we have to call the CSS file, link the style set href equal to ajax.css. Next, call one more file, a script src equal to ajax.js. Open the body, close the body. Ready? Let's go ahead. Write few UL, not few UL, one UL, then some LI. In that LI, home service product JSON parsing 1, parsing 2, 3, select. Ready? Next, after that, we'll create a section tag. We can give ID as a maybe container. So in this section tag, data will come h1, please wait, loading. Please wait loading. Now after that, we have to go to the CSS file. We can make some CSS, Ajax.css file. Then here it will get apply. Here also it will get apply. Right here one more tag, footer. In a paragraph, Ajax A asynchronous asynchronous JavaScript and XML. Okay, hope ready. Now come to the Ajax.css file. Let's go to the Ajax.css file or body tag, margin keep, maybe 50 pixel, Next for UL, background, blue color, text line you keep center, color you keep as a white, margin keep 0 pixel, padding you apply 15 pixel. This is for UL tag. Next, after that, ULLI, display, line again, and padding somewhere 16 pixel. Then ULLI colon hover, background, black color, cursor colon, pointer. You can check the index file. Hmm? Cursor colon pointer. Run this index file. Once the mouse will go there, it will convert into pointer. Something like this. Hope design is ready. Next we have a call container as spelling, check spelling. Got the solution? You can write here text align center we are written is okay. You can write here call mean height. Mean height 500. Then I will write for footer. Footer background full green color and color as white color. Text align colon center and height somewhere 100 px and padding somewhere 20 px. Coming something. Footer is will be in the last. Footer is in the last. Whenever we click any link, the content should get changed here. Okay, so I have given 500. I'll reduce to 400 because my screen size is smaller. Okay, something like this. Now, whenever you click on any link, in the middle section, content will change. So let me know. CSS done. Then we can move next. You completed the CSS, then we can go for the next. Now after this, we need to work on that function part. Go to the index.html file on li. On click you can call here. On click equal to call a function call one. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. With return function, how many? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. These all function we have to write there under the Ajax file. Okay, in that some pages will be a static page and some page will be as a dynamic page. Okay, how that will work? Let us see. Go to the ajax.js file, write a function 1. Inside function 1, document dot get element by id called container hello, बोलिए. हो गया मैडम एडमिशन ऑलरेडी. Okay, I've done container dot inner HTML equal to open the H1 right there, call home. Okay, call is a home. Write one more function. Write the next. What is that? Is for the service. This should be function 2. They will check whether communication is happening or not. Services. Run the page, click on both the button. Are you finding the content change in the browser? Content should get changed in the browser. Once you click on button, not button, this home and all, content will change here under the something like this. Let me know. Similar, then we can do the next thing. Okay, good then. Next, after that, what will happen is this data what we have written here, home and about, it is not going to come from here. When you click on these links, there will be different file, home.html, from there data will come. There will be different files, service.html, from there data will come. So two files we will create first, home.html and service.html. Create one file, home.html, and create one file, service.html as well. In service.html, h1 will open close our services. Paragraph. Similar, one more file will create, home.html. Welcome home. Okay, so hope two file is ready, home and service. Now this file you will close from here and we have to open in VS Code. Because to read the data from Ajax, to read the data from other side, other server, or maybe other source, directly JavaScript will not help you. It's need help from the some other live server. So using the live server will run the Ajax file, and then Ajax file will be responsible to bring the data from other file. How we have seen the fetch function in API. So I will close this all file from here, and I will open my CMD under the jQuery Ajax folder. Open CMD under the JavaScript Ajax folder. Code space dot and enter. Okay, ready? Open VS Code. If it is open in VS Code, then you will click on index file, and after clicking on index file, you have to do here right click and open with live server. Right click and open with live server. Right click and open with live server. Right? Work done. It will open directly in the browser. In case not open, you can go browser localhost colon 5500 index.html. Home service product. Loading through the app server. Sequence. Right click and open through the live server. Next, after that, when we click here, this data should come from the service page. And when we click here, this data should come from the home page. But it is available now coming from the JavaScript only directly. We have to write now few lines of Ajax code. So how fetch function was working? In the same way, Ajax will also help you to read the data from other source without reloading the page. Page will not reload and it will bring the data from other source. Okay, so for that, we are going to work next this way. Let's come write one line, search one line in the Google, PHP Ajax sample code. PHP Ajax sample code. PHP Ajax sample code. Written PHP Ajax sample code. Now W3 will show the first URL. W3 will show you the first URL. W3 will show the first URL. What we search? PHP Ajax sample code. W3 open the PHP Ajax sample code. Right, so we can click here. W3 will open. Come down in this, you will find a button here. It says PHP Ajax, PHP MySQL Ajax, for example. Here it says like, if you select a person from the drop down, if you select any person from the drop down, their information will be listed here. Okay. So what to select is, go here, select a Peter. Without reloading the page, content will come here. Select the some other name, that will come here. Select the third name, that will come here. Select the fourth, that will come here. Okay, hope changing. We want in our page also, instead of selecting from the drop down, we will click here, then the content should get changed. Page should not reload. So for that, come down again. There is a very good function here. Copy this much. Right? Okay, copied. Come to the page now. Ajax.js file. In Ajax.js file, function 1, delete one line we have written and paste this code. Arrange the code properly. Okay, hope ready. Next, after this, below it is calling one file. We have to replace that to the home.html. Home.html, this line. You keep here home.html. After that, from home.html, whichever the content is going to come, it should go to the container. That we have to change here. Container. Two changes is required. Let's do that. Hope ready. Next, after that, save the file, run the page, click on home button. You should run through the, you should not run directly. Okay, we should not run directly. We should run through the live server. Run through the live server. Hmm. Let me see here. You have to run through the live server, not directly. Home if you click, should come here. On the click of home, the data should come here. Coming? Yes. Okay, let's go then. Copy the same content, paste under the about again. We need to change the file name only. We will discuss on that. What is happening in that code? What is that? How it calls one file from other file? So here we can add call about.html and nothing else. Now both will read the data from different file. Both will read the data from different file. Reading from different files. If now home button click, it will, oh, about is not there. It's a service, correct? What file we created? Service. This should be service.html. Service.html. operating home file and service. So when you click here, home data will come. Click here, service data will come. Service is coming. On page load, when the page will load, we want by default home should be there. So in index page, you can go here and on load. In index page on load equal to, you can call that function one. Function one you can call here. When the page will refresh, by default it will display something. By default function one will call. When the page will load, it should not display the empty content. At least when the page will load, it should display something. When the page is loading, it was saying please wait loading. Now please wait loading will not come. By default home page will come. If now go to the browser, by default you will see home page will come. Home page. Yes, by default home page will come. On load itself home page will come. So home page is there already. When you click here, service will come. Again if you click, home will come. Right? We will discuss this one. What are the codes are inside? How it is working. Let's create one more file for function 3, that is called product.html. You can go to the Ajax file. Yeah, I will explain that. Now come to the Ajax file. Add one more function called function 3. The function 3, you can call a file called product. Change the function name to 3. Right here called product. PRODUCT. Product.html. Now we'll create one more file, product.html. H1 we can add here. My product. Check now. Product is loading or not? Okay. So we can click on product. Product page also should come. See what is happening here in the code level. If you see, in code level, if you see, everywhere this code is same. So this XML HTTP request, it is a predefined class name in JavaScript. Okay, this one XML HTTP request, it is a predefined class name in the JavaScript. So at this line, what is doing? Because communication has to be done between two files. One file is called your Ajax file and another file is called HTML file. It has to come from HTML and give to index. Ajax is playing the role. On button click, function will call. This function one will call another function, predefined function of JavaScript XML HTTP request. This is for what purpose? To make a request from the client to server, because as of now you are reading the data from the file only directly. It can be other PHP file also, Java file also. So it make a request to other file. For what purpose? To get the content. To make a request to other file from one file to other file without reloading the page, we use this class or a XML HTTP request class. In current page also happening the same. Page is not getting reload, but data is coming from other file. Okay. So that function say like, yes, if you want to do a request of client server communication, then you have to call this function. Call XML HTTP class, you have to call and create an object of that. After creating the object of the class, what you can do using the open function, using the XML HTTP.open function, XML HTTP becomes an object of this class, XML HTTP request. Now using this object, it is calling a function of the class. That function name is called open, and using open function, it's generating a URL. It's generating a path. Like where is the file, what is the URL, where is that file, what is the file, and which method it should get called. So this line is generating a path, generating a URL. And at this line, it is sending the request to where? To the other file. Like suppose if I write here, object creation of XML HTTP request class. Okay, this line created the object of the particular class. After creating the object, the bottom line generating a path, generating a URL, generating path URL using get method. Next, after that, sending a request to that sending a request to that above URL. Sending a request to the above URL. Okay, ready? So what we have written in the first line, it is calling a function and creating an object of the particular class. After creating the object of the class, with the help of that object, it's generating a URL path, and after generating the URL, it send a request to the URL. Okay. After sending the request, what will happen? After sending this request, from there some response will come. From which file? From the home.html file. So whichever the response will come, it will get captured under this variable. XML this dot response text. This is a keyword that point to the current object. Here XML HTTP, instead of calling XML HTTP, it is calling here this dot response text. So from after sending the request, from there whichever the response comes, that response from there whichever the response comes, that response is being sent to the container using inner HTML. Right? That is happening in this code. Sending the calling a function class, creating the object. After creating the object, calling a class and creating the object. After creating the object, generating a URL, and after that sending the request. After sending the request, whichever the response will come, it will come under the response text. From response text is assigned to the controller. Now, to check whether request is sent or not, because from your computer request has to go, from their response has to come. So it is checking same thing here. This line is ready status 200. That meaning the server has taken your request and server is doing the process. At any moment the output will come. And another line saying like your request is sent successfully. Okay, so we have to check here two things. The condition is checking two things. Number one, from your computer, a request is sent or not. If the request is sent from your computer, the server has received or not. If sent from the computer and server has received that, then capture the response. Wait for the output here. This line is written inside. Why it is written inside? Because it has to go, it has to execute this line. This line should execute in those cases if the request is sent from the user computer and server has processed the request, then only this line should execute. And if the request is sent, server has received the request, definitely in some time output will come from the backend, whichever the output will come capture under here and from here pass to where? Container. So whenever you click on any button, any link, the content will come from there and display inside the links. You have to run through the live server. You cannot run directly. Karthik, you attend random class, right? We have installed the live server in system. Then it is running. Without see here. What is the port number? 5500. Are you running through any port number or directly? You have to install that. Go to the VS Code. Inside the VS Code, you install this. Go to the extension. In extension option will come here. Call Ritwik. Ritwik. Type there Ritwik. Live server will come here. Install that. After installation, in HTML file, you have to do right click and open with live server. First to install this, I will guide next. Okay, hope install that. After installation, you have to come to the index file and do the right click. This option will come. Open with live server. Right click, open with live server. You have to enable that. You can check in system somewhere there will be enable option. Once we enable, then it will work. Okay, here in VS Code only, you have to click on extension, go to the settings. In the setting, there will be some option. From the settings, maybe you can enable it. In settings, if you click enable disable, the option is there. You can do that and then you can try, or maybe other option is coming. You can follow that, but it will be disabled because of that. It's not able to print. If enable, then it's print. Okay, right. Next, after this, this is the static pages. So static pages are happening. Static page data is loading in that there is no problem. Now dynamic page, this pages last three link I have written, where one we will read the local data, JSON data. We'll store the data in JSON file and we'll read here. One as a local JSON data. Another one we will read as a from other server, from other server. And one more we have that also will read from the other server only. The first single dimensional array, second multi-dimensional array, and third one is a nested array, array inside array. Okay, so that will be our next tomorrow class. So see you tomorrow. Hmm. So
we are using ID. ID equal to container. It will be running, but it is using
No,
class.
class, go how it will work. Keep ID. Go to Ajax file. Here, see, everywhere we are sending the data to where? ID is a container. If you remove container, how it will work?
No, sir.
Hmm.
What I tell you.
No, here you are calling the function by ID.
ID.
Here you are writing class. You have to call here by class, no? Okay, that I'll guide how to call by class. Don't write that. Class is a different way to call.
Okay, sir.
Change here ID and check. I will guide you through how to run through the class.